just in case somebody missed it, here it is. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. And I want to preach from this subject. You can't go to the next level with a bunch of asses. Let me exegese the text and let me give you a literal translation of the text. Can I set the stage for a moment? Here it is, the scene that Moses was with the children of Israel, and they were getting ready to go into the promised land. In other words, they had labored for some 38, 39 years, and God came down with a set of rules. And when God said, Pastor Malone, that even though you've been pastoring for 13 years, I'm getting ready to take you into a new place. And part of the instructions of going into the new place, he gave them an assignment, and what he said was, Moses, when you get to the promised land, you cannot plow the field with a bunch of oxes and a bunch of asses. He was preparing them, and I'm just exegesing the text. But if I can, I'm going to eisegetically look at it for you and place you in the place of the text. And this is how I can place you in the place of the text. Many of you have been wondering why, even though you have taken your lives to the next level, even though you've become educated, and even though you've moved to the suburbs, and even though that you've become a supervisor on your job, you are wondering why still are you having bad luck, dealing with bad people, why are you still marrying bad folk. I stopped by to tell you that you hooked up with a bunch of asses. I'm going to tell you with the picture. I'm eisegetically looking at it. And by the way, I told you, I ain't scared of nobody up in here, so I'm going to do it. You can roll your eyes at me all you want. I'm preaching what the Bible says. The problem with so many people, I'm coming back to you, but I want to help the church out. The problem with so many people that when God has moved you to the next level, you are too busy having coffee, hanging around, eating lunch with folk that don't mean you no good. And the problem is not only have we been hanging around, eating lunch and drinking coffee with them, we have taken it to the next level. We started going to the mall, getting our nails done, and some of you have married an ass. Says this, I'm trying to tell you, have you ever known why a good girl hooks up with a bad boy? Touch your neighbor and say she married an ass. And this is what happens. And the problem is the church has become so inconsistent. They become bipolar and schizophrenic, and we don't want to call it what it is. The church become bipolar, schizophrenic. We want to be saved on one hand, but because that sister so-and-so's son, we don't want to call it what it is. But I tell any Negro that come to my house looking at my daughter, you better take that gold teeth out your mouth, pull your pants up, cut your hair, because I didn't raise my daughter to go to the movies with her ass. And that's the problem with so many people, that you are allowing asses to... You are allowing asses to take your fields. Well, since it's your anniversary and I ain't going to take no money tonight, I can preach like I want to. Amen. We have allowed the wrong kind of people even to walk into our church. You're wondering why there are... Listen, God said to Moses, don't plow the field. And I'm going to tell you the difference between the ox and the ass in a minute. God said to Moses, don't plow the field. That's an exegetical look. Eisegetically, what he's saying is, make sure that you don't have asses singing in the choir, serve it on the usher board, serve it on the motherboard, serve it on... I know y'all don't like this, but what I'm trying to tell you, the reason there's so much hell in the church is because we got too many asses in important places. Don't plow the field with an ox and an ass. What does that mean? It means something very seriously. Evidently, God said said to Moses, he knew that he had two kind of folk with him. It's two kind of folk, and you find those folk in the church. You got those that with you and those that ain't. And the problem, let me tell you how, Pastor, and because you guys have put so much pressure on us about numbers, here we are. You bring it in, you got folk in the church, then and you know the type of folk that get mad and leave, and we are so busy trying to check. We spend so much more time trying to chase after the ass instead of taking care of the oxen. Come here, let me come get you. We spend so much time trying to make it and make them feel good, and we trying to set up the church and make sure we speak the kind of word. Baby, let me tell you something. Either they with you or they against you. And we better learn to have enough spiritual integrity to be able to say, baby, you can handle that. You can do that all you want. But as for me and my house, I'm going to serve the Lord. Yeah, Moses got the instruction that said, don't plow with the ox and an ass. In other words, when you get to the promised land, don't you work with these same asses you was trying to work with while you was out in the old field. If the asses kept you 38 years in the wilderness, why would you want to go to the promised land? Come here. Let me help you. If the asses kept you in the wilderness for 38 years, you would be a fool to go to your next level and hang out with the same kind of folk. I know some of y'all don't like this because it's a good word for you, for some of your mothers to tell your daughters, because you got to teach them how to differentiate the characteristics of an ox. And an ass. Come on, Pastor. An ox. I'm telling you how you can pour them out, Pastor. An ox is submissive. An ox will put on the yoke of the church and show up early for Bible study. Come to choir rehearsal every time the door's open. A good ox will be to Sunday school every Sunday. And I ask the pastor, what do you want me to do? But touch your neighbor, holler, but not an ass. An ass is stubborn. And the only time they will obey you is when it benefits them. Pastor, I just identified a few asses. An ox, well, knows how to eat its food. I like this part right here. An ox's stomach is divided in 4 compartments. They will chew in the word, and then when they don't need it, they'll store it up for a season when they need it. But not an ass. Because when they eat the word on Sunday morning, they're ready to cuss you out on Sunday afternoon. Because the word went right on through. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen any asses in the church? Last point. Mama, last point, you're going to be able to identify and differentiate between an ox and an ass. This is what I want you to do. If you examine an ox's foot and an ass's foot, an ox foot has a split hoof. So when they're getting ready to go up dangerous terrain, they can hold on to something. But not an ass. They got a full hoof. And every time you turn around, on Sunday, at the club on Saturday, pull on the asses, singing songs on Sunday, raising hell on Monday, pull on the asses, telling sister Keisha they love you today, and talking about you behind your back. Well, let me show you. If I can eisegesis Jesus' final days as he got ready to go to Jerusalem. That's what I'm trying to tell you now. I believe the Bible doesn't say it, but I can eisegesis the text that the reason he rode in on an ass was he wanted to show the world asses gonna have to get under me. Here's the word, Pastor Malone. It don't matter if the ass talk about you. It does not matter if the ass leave the church. I believe, just like Jesus, the same